Welcome to the Europe Conversation. My guest today is Márta. She is a European Commissioner for Enlargement. Commissioner, thank you very much. Well, you're the woman of the hour, maybe the week and the month in Brussels today, which is not a bad place to be. Of course, the Commission has now put out this new report with recommendations. And you say from the get-go, when you look at enlargement, it is a geopolitical necessity, imperative. It will make us stronger and richer. How?
If we do it right. It's not, just normally that it will make us stronger and richer, but we live now in a special times when, once again, the enlargement could be the most successful policy helping European Union to answer to the challenges which occurred in the last, I would say, 1 year or even earlier when the war in Ukraine started. Meaning that I see enlargement as much more than just the enlargement. It is really the possibility for making our European Union stronger, as you have said. It is the possibility that we, if we do it right, do finally unification of Europe, meaning bringing, if we succeed, all the 10 countries, if we bring all of them in, then Europe will be united for the first time in the history. And this is somehow today, again, we are going back to why the European Union has been established. It is, again, a peace project, very important. What is happening in Ukraine, bringing Ukraine and also Moldova, it is about securing peace. It is about freedom. It is about prosperity and security.
And of course, language is very important, and I noticed that you said this is about unifying Europe, and it's interesting because many leaders say it shouldn't be enlargement, it should be called the unification of Europe, which is, again, there's a lot of power behind that word. But I wonder, however, how do you turn that into a reality? How do you make that leap?
This is really a very responsible document showing the facts. But generally, I could say that this is the proof that enlargement is happening. For the first time in the last years, the last time we have enlarged, it was 2013 with Croatia, and today the possibility, the realistic possibility exists that in the next years we will get new members. We have two clearly front runners or leaders in the process. We have two another countries we have where actually the development or progress has been huge in the last year. Albania and Montenegro, and of course then Ukraine and Moldova. We shouldn't forget all the others. So, but now it is a kind of. I have to say, that this is also happening because the European Commission or Union has changed the attitude towards the enlargement. It hasn't been in the plan in the last years. Now with this last Commission it is. We're also getting the support in the European Parliament for the enlargement, and generally also the majority of the citizens of the EU are supporting.
At the beginning, you said there are two countries that are the front runners. That would be Albania and Montenegro. Then you mentioned Moldova and Ukraine. Are we to understand, and I don't want to make this a cliche, that then Serbia, North Macedonia, you view as, also we should include Georgia at some point in that conversation, you view now as not doing as well? You would put them at the bottom of the rank?
No, I'm not ranking this. So what I see the results, we have in this enlargement report, we have measured the progress, 1 year progress, and general preparedness. To some extent, Serbia is more prepared than the countries I have mentioned before, but there was no progress, or it was even backsliding. So this is what is very much important. It can be ready to some extent in some chapters of the negotiations, ready more than the others, but we have to really see the progress, especially on the rule of law, anti-corruption, media freedom, academic freedom, and these are actually the areas, the last 3 points where Serbia was backsliding. But still, I'm extending my arm in the sense of we want to see democratic Serbia in the EU, but democratic Serbia. And I'm happy that all the protests since November last year have shown that there is a democratic potential and that people want to go on the way of democracy, and we are supporting this.
And I want to unpack what you said, because I wanted to talk about Serbia after, but now that you brought it up, What does that mean? You say there is backsliding, and it's happened in many critical areas, going from civil rights to freedom of expression in the media. You also say, I want to see a democratic Serbia. If I'm the president of Serbia and I'm hearing this, I would go, well, it's going to be very rough. That means this is not going to move.
I stay behind every word which is in the report. Why, especially? Many areas. One of them is never before have been so many journalists jailed in Serbia as in the last year. The judiciary system is very much under the influence of the president. Nothing is happening in the enlargement process without the president. It is not right. And I could go on. CFSP alignment. So, you know, we expect from our candidates that they align in the trend, their foreign and security policy with the European one. Serbia is really on the last place. So we have 4 members or 4 countries, candidates from the Western Balkans, having 100% fulfillment of the CFSP alignment. Ukraine is 99, Moldova is 98, Serbia is 61. One point. The other point is I can understand that President Vučić is going also to Moscow and to China. But we notice this. I can understand, I come from this area, I know about the relations between Serbia and Russia. On the other hand, you know, being supportive to a regime, Russian regime, which is killing people in Ukraine, not accepting the sanctions which the EU is having against Russia. There are things which we really cannot tolerate anymore. And what I think is also not good, and it is mentioned in the report, is that especially the Serbian politicians and media, which are then following his lead, should really stop accusing us, the European Union, that we are behind the protests in Serbia. Really, we are not. So this is clearly a lie. And there are many, many lies I could go on. And this should stop immediately.
Just to play devil advocate for a second, and then we can move on. What the Serbian authorities would say is that we don't apply EU sanctions because we're not a member of the EU. If we joined, we would be aligned. They also say, you know, we go to Russia, but we also have a relationship with Ukraine. But what I understand is that you're saying, I hear those arguments, but if you want to join, then you need to make choices. You want to see choices.
Yes, and it is a very important geopolitical choice. You know, we all have to make geopolitical choices. There are also some member states, for instance, who are suffering or will have problems when we say that we want to get out of the energy dependence on Russia. We have done this quite a lot, you know, when the war started in Ukraine. 60% of the gas in Europe was imported from Russia. Now we are down to 5%. Of course, you know, we have to buy also energy which is more expensive. But why do we do this? Because we punish the system who has started this unfair war and supporting Ukraine. But not everything is negative in Serbia. I don't want to give this impression. There have been small steps, like media legislation has been adopted. Now they are in the finishing line of the very important Council on the Electronic Media or voting register. So there are some things, and this is right so, and we are supportive, but much, much more needs to be done.
And you make that clear. Now let's move on perhaps to Ukraine, because it's the other big country. Obviously, no country has applied for EU membership in these conditions. This is a country that says it can reform deeply, but also fight a war at the same time. In your report, you say that they are committed, and you see that they are committed. You also say, and this to me really, it's very important. You said the technicalities to open up the clusters, they are ready, and it should happen in November. That's a very bold statement to make, but you know the issue is the Hungarian veto. So this needs a political short circuit. Who's going to do it?
You know, I'm a bold person, and we should deliver. We are, me and my team, we are pushing the candidates, they have to deliver. But we should deliver too. And we say it is merit-based. It goes both sides. Meaning, if, and it is not about Ukraine, I'm full of admiration what they are delivering, you know, while the bombs are falling on the country. And the same for Moldova. But they have delivered, so we will be by November ready to open all the clusters. And then one of the member states is opposing.
It's Hungary, and they have said we're not going to change.
Yeah, but you know, the same country, the same member states has given a green light to give candidate status to Ukraine, has given a green light to start negotiations, but now it is blocking. This is not fair, and this is not how I see the European solidarity and geopolitical need. But of course, I'm sure we will find the solution. You know, not Ukraine, not Moldova. They don't need Orban to do the reforms. They can do the reforms on the way. So perhaps we see it more too black and white. If we can only go on if we open the cluster or clusters. No, we can go on also without opening formally the clusters. We can do the technical work I'm speaking about in the working groups, and when the conditions will be met, then we can open and close clusters.
I'm happy you say that, because when you look at unanimity, you obviously say we need to find a way around this, because otherwise the process won't end. The other big pillar of internal reform of the EU is the countries that join, the member states would argue, they need to be aligned with us. We need to make sure that the new members are not going to make life more difficult. So how is the EU at 27 going to be managed in a better, more efficient way, when we see at 27 is complicated, at 21? Would you say, for example, if a new country joins, they need to be put to the test and they need to be put on probation?
There are two important points. First is that the member state, the candidate countries really have to be ready. They really have to go through the whole process and being ready, also applying all the so-called Copenhagen criteria, having a strong economy, institutions, and so on. On the other side, we also have to be ready, and this is the parallel process. So the Commission will, in the next weeks, put out the results of the so-called pre-enlargement review, where we have to see inside us what we have to do, that we will be ready to function also when we will get some new members on board. You know, my country, Slovenia, joined the EU in 2004. 10 countries joined. It was 90 million people, and we survived. Now we are speaking about Albania, 2.78 million, and we are speaking about Montenegro. It is a kind of 600,000 people. It's like Antwerp. So should really this a bit more than 3 million new citizens be such a big problem? Of course not. But I can understand the concerns of the member states, of the citizens, and that we have to talk about it. So what I expect now, and I hope that we will do this together, all the stakeholders, to discuss about the future of the European Union, and it could also be that we speak about the decision-making process.
Do you like the idea of Class A and Class B members?
No, I'm strictly against, but this is my personal opinion. No, we cannot have two-class members. You know, when Slovenia joined the EU, we have been equal like Germany. You know, we were so happy at that time, and France and so on. I'm exaggerating a bit, but no, we have to enable that all the members will be equal. But already exists, you know, through the accession treaties, we can define transitional periods. For instance, Poland has gotten now, you know, people speak about the danger of the agriculture from Ukraine. You know, when Poland joined, it was the same issue with their agriculture. So Poland has gotten 20 years of the transitional period.
And just as we reach to the end, there are 2 points that I would like to clarify. One is, you said everywhere that we put out in the report, we stand by it, and we think this is a good report. Obviously, with Ukraine, you say they have made a lot of progress, but you also point out to the idea of rule of law and corruption needs to be tackled further. As you can see, the government, President Zelensky, he spoke with us. He said, I haven't fully seen it, but I'm not sure I fully agree with that description. What did you mean by that? It's been interpreted as very negative. Is it that negative?
No, not at all. But, you know, the report for Ukraine and any other country is more than 100 pages. and some people have read just a few lines. It is really good to see the whole report. And for Ukraine, it is clearly a huge development, a huge progress. But there are some points, and this is nearly for every candidate country. Just to remind you, why are we doing this enlargement reports? It is, we do this to point out what is running well, and to see where we need some improvements. And one of the areas where we see the danger in Ukraine is, and we have experienced this on July 22nd, where actually a law has been adopted which was making their two main anti-corruption agencies less independent. And this is not good. You know, it is very, very important that the country, not just Ukraine, is having independent anti-corruption institutions. And this was a clear backsliding. And this shouldn't be the case. The law has been repaired, not yet to 100%, so we are still working on this, and this is why we have put this into the report.
And so in all of this, you still say the European Union is going to be stronger with them inside?
Yes, once they will join, but they will not be able to join unless they will be prepared. So this is a circle we have to follow.
Just very quickly, Georgia, the language that you have used is, at least to my knowledge, the most severe I have ever seen in a report like this. If I understand what you say, where you talk about massive and very serious backsliding on everything, you talk about authorities that no longer seem to be interested in this process. If I read that, the way that I would interpret it is, this is the end of the road. But at the same time, there is a people, and we all know this, who are prepared to do almost anything to now join the European Union. How do you bridge this gap?
You're right. This is the worst enlargement report for any candidate country ever, but rightly so. So what their government is doing and lying to their people, they are saying that they are bringing Georgia closer to the EU. They are bringing Georgia away from the EU. So it is a clear backsliding on many areas, especially on the fundamentals, the rule of law, anti-corruption, media freedom. You know, the government, what is the government doing? The government is not following the interests of their own people.
Because they say they want in very clearly. Is there a way to bridge this gap?
You know, that's why the only option is that the government of Georgia will revise many laws who are clearly anti-European. They should stop putting their political opponents or journalists in jail. They really should start not oppressing anymore the organizations of civil society. You know, we have difficulties to support them because as long as they hear we would love to support them, they are in the danger that they will be put in jail. So, yes, it is clearly Georgia still a candidate country, but for the Commission only on the paper. And we will do everything to support media and especially civil society organizations.
And just lastly, by 2030, the end of this mandate, what does the European Union look like? Is it 29? Is it 30? Who's in it?
Oh, I don't know. I can't see in the stars, but I will work endlessly and tirelessly on this project in which I really believe. For the first time after many years, the prospects of the enlargement are there. How many countries it will be, it is not that much important. Important is that actually we will get stronger, as you have said, and that we will make our union of values and democracy bigger. And I will close with this, if I may. You know, in the past, the European Union has always been capable to include the countries which have been, for instance, Portugal, Spain, Greece. We included them into the EU after the end of the dictatorships. After the Berlin Wall fell, we have been able to include, for the first time, countries from the Eastern Europe. And now we are again in this historical moment. So I am positive there will be some new members. How many? Let's meet in 2030. No, 2029, because my mandate ended in 2029. So we have to meet before December the 1st, 29. Then we can talk about the numbers. Okay.
We'll invite you again in 2029.
Okay.
Commissioner Koss, thank you so much for this important conversation in Yuronius. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.